Hi, everyone. We have Rhett joining us for the next session. He's the CEO of Europechain, and he will be talking about regional blockchains, right, Rhett?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
perfect. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I have about 30 minutes, I think, and I lost some of the starting time. So let's go into it immediately. Okay, the introduction, I'm the CEO of the Europechain. Let me dive into what that is in more detail. And we are also working on something that we call the Satya chain. That's also a geographical chain aimed at the Indian market. I founded EOS Amsterdam as a block producer some time ago. I'm 53. I live in Portugal and in the Netherlands. I'm no longer in Norway. Sorry, I had to stripe that away. I also founded a company called Kahuna. It's a cybersecurity company, and basically my interest in blockchain comes from that background. I see that it's very difficult to secure IT architectures, and I believe that with blockchain we're able to build more robust IT stacks. So that's why I dove into blockchain, and particularly EOS, because I thought that had some parameters that I really liked. I'm also on the board of a company called 2Tokens. It's an initiative to create more awareness around tokenization. We're also advising basically the European leadership and European banking industry on what are non-fungible tokens, what are tokens, etc., etc. And I'm also an angel investor in Eclectic IQ, and currently I'm full into Bitcoin as well. I'm not doing this alone. We have a team of around 30 people, and here are some faces of the leadership team. If the audience is not very educated, I sometimes throw in this picture because I found it in, I think it was a report of Deloitte some while ago on why blockchains can be interesting for certain industries. It really depends on who you are and what you do. And I always like number 6, increased security. That is my personal favorite. So what are we and what do we do? We are building geographical chains. Currently, the Europechain is live for a year and a half, and we are preparing for a chain for India, the Satya chain. So we have a team that is currently researching how to configure that exactly, and to basically find partners where we can launch that chain with. The aim is that, now let me dive into EOSAO on a later stage. And on top of these regional chains, we will offer something that we call an enablement layer. So typical projects need an identity system. Typical projects in the enterprise space need something of enterprise approval workflow. So we're building a group of tools. We also have a mobile app that can register events and push them to a blockchain. So we have a bunch of services, and all created around geographical chains and making it easier for enterprises and startups to launch their applications. So why a geographical approach? So we believe that we're building the internet of value, the internet of transactions. And for that, we need millions and millions of transactions to be able to be processed through blockchains. You might know that we call that the internet 3.0. And we already had several phases and growth in the internet. And basically the third phase is all about blockchains, decentralization, etc., etc., etc. When the EOS protocol was launched and we were part of that ecosystem launching that blockchain, there was a lot of discussions around whether the chains would have business models, what kind of business models would be around. In EOS.io, there would be multiple blockchains, everybody thought, and currently you can already see about 10 blockchains right now. If you go to blocks.io, you will find mainnets and testnets, and this is on the right side of the screen. You see the EOS chain, you see Proton, Wax, also Europechain is in that list, because our chain is fully embedded into the EOS.io ecosystem. So people believed that there would be multiple blockchains, and my approach of that said, okay, let's build geographical blockchains. Reason for that is that you can make it tailored to that ecosystem, tailored to that region, and you can make it legally fully compliant to that region. In Europe, for example, you have the GDPR, the privacy regulations, and in the privacy regulations says something that is called the right to be forgotten. In short, it's here RTBF, the right to be forgotten. And so if you look at all the academic papers on blockchains in Europe, many of these academic papers write that blockchains are impossible in Europe because of this right to be forgotten. We have constructed technical and legal measurements to make our chain GDPR supporting. It's not up to us to be GDPR compliant. It's up to the application that runs on top of it, but we facilitate everything that is needed. Also, you see a lot of companies in Europe, they just want to pay in fiat. They don't want to purchase Ethereum to run applications on top of Ethereum. Ethereum is not GDPR compliant. So basically all enterprises, they do some POCs, they do some experimenting on it, but typically it never passes the anything serious stage because of this difficulty. So we have built a team that really understands how to do blockchain in Europe. In India, we were facing the same challenges, that India is very unclear whether you could do mining, whether you could be a block producer. There's regulations in the works, and if you take that regulations and you look at whether certain projects could be run on like a general chain, like an Ethereum chain, or so in India you see typically that they start to develop on top of Hyperledger. We have a lot of system integrators as potential partners that tell us that Hyperledger is difficult to size. It's difficult to make it scalable to a large number of users. And if you are running a consortium chain, it's difficult to manage. If you have a 7-node chain, then it's usually one company that is doing all the work, and then it's not really decentralized. So system integrators struggle with implementing on Hyperledger. So we have a lot of experience in migrating Hyperledger projects to our chains. We use for our chains the EOS-IO technology. That's the same technology that is being used in the EOS mainnet, the EOS public net, and that is the most used blockchain in the world. This slide was, I think, a few months old, but it's still valid. EOS does over 60 million. I think it was 85 million the last time I looked. EOS does the majority of the transactions, and Telos, a chain using the same tech stack, is the #2 in the world. So from the public chains, EOS is definitely #1. It's operational for multiple years. That's why we also don't understand why Cardanos and the Polkadots are so popular in the current rankings. You should look at the value of the chain, because this is a chain that already has tokens, already has smart contracts, has everything that you need. So it's really capable of running enterprise scale applications. We've done testing, and currently we come up to, the peak was 10,000 transactions per second. Sustainable, we have 7,000 transactions per second for a sustainable period of time. I think they tested around 5 minutes. It's very user-friendly. It has readable account names, a very flexible permission system. It uses C++. You can make very complex enterprise-based applications with this blockchain. Also, so there's all kinds of developer tools available. I don't have so much time, so a little bit more. Oh yeah, one up. Very proven technology. One of the really nice features that I like is the upgradability of a smart contract. You can have a contract connected to one account. You can have contracts connected to a burned account, so then it's immutable, and you can have a contract connected to an ecosystem of accounts. So, for example, 9 companies out of 15 need to approve an upgrade of a smart contract. And some of those accounts that need to deliver the upgradability could be outsourced, for example, to a smart contract audit firm. So with that, you can really have a proper process. We've seen some serious incidents with money being hacked, with projects being hacked, or with projects where the leadership runs away. In EOS-IO, that is not possible. So that is definitely something you can look at to build interesting applications. Yeah, if you want to know more on why we chose EOS-IO for our chains, just contact and reach out to me. EOS has been ranked by multiple research firms as the #1. One that is published a lot is the CCID, the Chinese Ministry of Industry. They bring out a ranking of protocols, I think almost every 4 months, and they have been on the #1 spot for 20 reports, so that in China the majority of the development is being done on the EOS-IO chain. So what have we done? We launched the chain in 2019, June 2019, so almost 2 years ago, and we bumped into a lot of projects that basically needed the same needs. So we started to develop what we call our enablement layer, and our enablement layer is now defined on what we want to build, and some of the products are in a prototype phase. Our identity system is developed the most and can be used already. We raised some capital, and we're still raising capital to continue building. We have, like I said, the Europechain is operational. We have the first clients that want to have private chains. So then we use the ecosystem, the block producers that we have to launch a 5-node private chain. And we are working on all our enablement layers. We've won a lot of awards already. The Malta Blockchain Adoption Award was a very interesting one. MIDI, that is our identity system. That is currently in stage 3 ready. Stage 4 and 5, where we will implement the ID and verifiable credentials. This is a very interesting piece of technology if you want to launch an application that uses identity information. So then this application can make your life a lot easier because it's fully GDPR compliant, and it has a very interesting key management structure. I'm not an expert on that, so no questions on that, please. So I think this slide was already in. We have a team of legal experts. We have a product management approach, an enablement layer, and we aim to offer our chain through business partners like system integrators. A very nice example is one of our system integrators is Europechain, which is a research facility from Spain. They are participating in all kinds of projects from the European Commission, and we offer. They use our chain now to launch their applications on our chain. Before they were using a lot of Hyperledger, and they are working on migrating everything from those consortia chains to a public Europechain. Here's the example of Europechain, and on the right we have an example of our Europechain public chain. So if you go to blocks.io, you can, in the top left, you can select our Europechain. You will see that we have around 7 block producers now signed up, and we are implementing 2 more in the next few days, and in total we will have around 30 block producers running this chain, so then it's very distributed. These block producers can be used to launch private chains, as the example shows on the left. You can select which block producers you want to participate in that. If you need Norwegian support, we will have a Norwegian system integrator in that list as well, so they could offer you additional services. This is our enablement layer. So on the top left, MIDI, our account management engine and digital identity layer. On the top right is Flowbook that uses MIDI. It's basically a part of MIDI. So if you want to have an application, enterprise application with, for example, a 2-layer approval mechanism, so somebody makes something and somebody else signs off, then Flowbook is an interesting approach for that. It can have a 2-level, 3-level, 4-level approval mechanism, and it uses the very flexible account structure of EOS.io. Fact is our mobile application. If you go to the app stores, mobile app stores, and you search Europechain Fact, you will find that application. It is filled with use cases, with some example use cases, and you can change those use cases pretty easy. We have a backend system that uses low-code configuration. So you configure a workflow, and that workflow results in, for example, a PDF where you captured evidence of a compliance situation. To give an example, that's usually most easy. Imagine you have a restaurant, and in Europe you require to prove that you are checking your fire equipment, your fire extinguishers every year. With FACT, you can take pictures of the fire extinguishers you have. Let's say you have 7, you have a powder device, you have 7 of these, and with the app you can capture the evidence that you have them. If you have and you have to do that once a year, so you can prove that once a year you checked that. If one of the devices is only valid for another 3 months, then the FACT application will show you an alert that you have an activity to do. You have to replace the fire extinguisher. So FACT is a workflow to capture device on your mobile phone. All the steps that you take in that workflow can be pushed to the blockchain. Or if you only want to timestamp that you did it, so you don't want to have all the details on the blockchain, that is an alternative as well. You just create a PDF of the activities that you did, and you hash it on chain as proof that you did it. Xyzon is our digital assets platform, where this, if you want to launch an application that uses assets, tokens, non-fungible tokens, then Xyzon is an application to manage easily for you. The first utilization is for enterprises. If you want to do a secure token offering, so if you want to basically have the cap table of a company on the blockchain, Xyzon is the first implementation that we're building for that. So FACT, already explained that, that's our mobile application. And the aim is to have it work like this. So on the top, you can build industry applications. Then you have a suite of enablement layer tools. And on the lower level, you have the ability to connect it to, in the first phase, only the Europechain. In the second phase, of course, such a chain will be added, but in the future you can imagine that we can also connect this layer of enablement products to other blockchains. We have built a suite of solutions, or clients, you could say as well. Console Freight, MeadowSync, gift vouchers are real customers that have their solution run on our chain. There's more, but in this example slide, PIA and DCERT are additional applications that the Europechain has built. The PIA tool is a privacy impact assessment. What we did, we took the French privacy authority tooling for making a privacy impact assessment, and we connected it up to our blockchain. So that's something that everybody that is building an application for European citizens needs to do. It's in the law. In the law, it says you need to do a PIA before you do anything with European consumers. So we have an application to make that easy for you. DCERT is our certification solution. Looking at the time, I have another 2 minutes, so I think maybe it's smart to leave it at this last slide. Our aim is to have a partner ecosystem. So if you are interested, if you're a system integrator or interested in to learn more, contact me, please, and I can direct you to the right people. For the Indian market, we're looking for people that like our plan and want to become a block producer, want to become an ecosystem partner. And we have, with our enablement layer, the ability to generate revenue with you, with the products that we have already built and the products that we are going to build. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhett. Thank you for the presentation. Just a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You didn't touch much upon Satya. I'm not sure what is it. Is it a blockchain for your plans for blockchain in India? Is that something?
Yeah. So basically, it's the same model as the Europechain. Indeed, I didn't touch upon it too much because it's a chain that is not live, but the model will be the same. There's a chain, the same model. I didn't mention that as well. There's a group in South America that did the same. So there's also a LAC chain, a Latin American Caribbean chain. And basically, we all have the same vision that to enable the transactions and to enable capacity, you need to offer multiple blockchains. And Europechain is focused and tailored to the European market. The whole sign-up process is legally compliant in the way we need to do it in Europe. And the Satya chain will do the same, making it legally compliant with the Indian regulations, being sold through system integrators in India. Currently, we're talking to some big names in India that love the idea that we have. So if they have a global application, they could deploy it on the Europechain for the European customers. They can deploy it on the India chain, the Satya chain for India. We're building an integration with the India stack for Satya chain so that you could use the identity system that is already present in India. And we use the same technology. So everything is EOS.IO.
Yeah.
And if you want to use the chain for South America, the LAC chain, that is even possible as well. We didn't change anything on the tech stack. Everything is the same. So if you develop a protocol, an application on one, it could work on the other. Of course, there's legal requirements that needed to fit.
Yeah.
And one of the legal requirements is in Europe, you need to do a PIA. That's required by law as soon as you start processing consumer data.
Yeah. Where do you see the few? I mean, of course, you must be thinking like the regional blockchains is going to be the future, because all these blockchains that are not legally compliant, like Ethereum and Polkadot, like you also mentioned the example of Ethereum very briefly.
Yeah.
When big companies like KPMGs and all these McKinseys want to get involved, they would want to make sure that they're legally compliant, right?
Yeah. So that's really my thinking. It's either you build it very small in a consortium mechanism, like many implementations currently in India are built on Hyperledger, with 7 nodes or sometimes even 1 node. Of course, that is not very decentralized, and you could have taken a database as well. That's not the advantage that we have with this tech stack. So if you want to build, and if you want to build something that requires public transparency, then the Europechain, Satya chain, LAC chain are interesting implementations. If you need a private chain, but you want to have professional companies running the chain for you, then we are a potential partner as well, because the companies that are running our chain are professionals in running chains. I'm also the CEO of EOS Amsterdam. We run 9 chains. We have a lot of experience in running, upgrading, maintaining the EOS.IO blockchain stack.
In that case, you're the right person to ask this question. With EOS having so much, credibility behind it? Why is that like Polkadot and Cardano's and the new chains are gaining so much traction?
Yeah, very good question. That really proves that there's no correlation between the price in the market and the quality of the tech stack. It's all hype, hype, and hype. If you follow some YouTubers on crypto,
Yeah.
then they buy a bunch of Cardano and then they push the price up, and in parallel they sell their own stacks to the naive audience, I think. No, and it's very, very strange.
Yeah.
Cardano don't have smart contracts. They just recently implemented a token structure, which is available on EOS for many years already. Everybody that now one of the things that is I think not very good is that the company that made EOS.io, Block One, they raised 4 billion in an ICO. That money has been put into Bitcoin, and they are basically building 3 solutions. So the blockchain, EOS.io, and they are building Voice and Bullish. They were under scrutiny of the SEC, and they settled with the SEC. So this is the only company in the crypto space that has already a settlement with the SEC, already for over a year. One thing that they also promised the SEC, that moving forward, everything that they do is being pre-approved by the SEC, which is killing innovation. So very recently, like 1 week ago, they had approval that the Voice application and the Voice token can be on the EOS mainnet, which is huge because now they have pre-approval of a financial application, a social media application that uses a financial model in their protocol, in their solution, with pre-approved SEC approval. That took a long time.
Sure.
During that process of getting the approval, they are not advertising EOS.io. They are not communicating anything around it. They take an example on Apple. Apple is always very secretive on everything that they're building. So, and they want to dominate the space. That is also something they want. There's huge investors behind EOS, and they first want to finish Voice and finish their bullish solution. If they are finished and have full approval of the SEC, they already said you will see marketing that you've never seen before from a crypto company. And with the 11 billion that they now have in Bitcoin, they can really make some marketing.
Is that 11 billion with a B?
Yeah,
Yeah,
billion dollars. 11,000 million dollars in Bitcoin. They're the largest company in the world. They have 240,000 Bitcoin.
Wow.
So they're much larger than MicroStrategy and the Winklevoss brothers. They're really backed by the biggest investors in the world. Mike Novogratz is one of the investors. He never talks about EOS. He talks about other projects, but he's very secretive until approval from the SEC.
Yeah. Well,
I
thanks,
think
Rhett.
another 6 months.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking up the time and speaking with the audience. Yeah, and good luck with Europechain. I look forward to what you with Satya and with the regulations coming in India soon. Let's see what Satya can do in India. Yeah.
Contact me if you want to know more.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.